Your friend in Central Illinois. WHOW.
Top of the morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin insurance agent in Clinton. Our guest on the Zoom call today, Caitlin Mellendorf, nutrition educator for the University of Illinois Extension in DeWitt, Macon, and Piatt counties. Good morning, Caitlin. How are you today?
Good morning. I'm doing well. I was just popping in the background to your opening music there.
It is a little catchy, isn't it? It certainly catches your attention if you're listening on the road here this morning, or if you're on YouTube or Facebook. We're glad to have you there as well. And Caitlin, I know that this week breakfast is kind of the theme of the week. How about breakfast, and why are we celebrating breakfast this week?
Yeah, so this is kind of a great timely topic. So we do a lot of food holidays when I come on this segment, and this Thursday, September the 26th, is Better Breakfast Day. And so this is very timely for me to be able to talk about when folks are waking up in the morning. And, we're here still pretty early morning, 9 a.m., thinking about, how do we build a better breakfast? And depending on who you are, I know there's people out there that wake up and they're like, I cannot tolerate anything super early in the morning. When I get up, it might take me a couple of hours to notice that, hey, I'm hungry. All right, I'm ready for some food. And so for those folks, if you are that kind of person, think about being something that, get that Monday lips moving there. Think about things that you can pack. So if you are headed out to work, if you are no longer working in the morning, but you're still waking up and, it's going to be a couple of hours, think about things that you might pack with you if you're going to have a work, bringing food with you in the morning, or if you are maybe retired or you're not working, having something, kind of even setting a timer, being like reminding, oh, okay, I'm gonna go have something to eat now. If you are someone that does like a workout in the morning, that can be something to have something very small. So maybe a little bit of a granola bar or a little bit of dry cereal, some crackers, something to give your body a little bit of carbohydrate for that workout. And then when you're finished with your workout, you can, focus on like a full meal. So having in the protein and the fiber and the healthy fats to get you going for the rest of your day.
Yeah.
So there's just things to think about depending on how you like to eat in the morning. I know for me, I can eat fairly early after waking, but sometimes I know that changes depending on maybe I ate a little bit more the day before and I'm not as hungry. So we're allowed to kind of work with our hunger and just having something in there. So the big things to focus on with any meal, I think particularly for breakfast, what we're generally missing is protein and fiber. For people that have a pastry or a muffin and some coffee in the morning, we're not really getting much protein out of that or really fiber. So having a meal that adds in, maybe 15 to 30 grams of protein in the morning. So that would be a couple of eggs, a couple of glasses of milk. If you're only doing like one or the other, of course you can mix. Maybe you're someone that wants to add in a protein powder to maybe like a smoothie in the morning. Getting that protein in there does a couple of things. One, it provides fullness. Protein is a nutrient that digests a little bit slowly. And so you get that feeling of fullness throughout your morning versus something like a coffee and a pastry. You might notice in about an hour, you're probably running to find some more food. Or for the rest to fuel you for the rest of the morning. So getting in that protein. Protein also then provides a little bit of that repair function. So for us fasting overnight while we sleep, we're able to get some protein for the body to start making repairs on muscles that have maybe been broken down overnight during that fast, so we can get in that extra protein. And then the fiber piece of that, so fiber is any carbohydrate food that does not digest easily, which is great because it will help create comfortable bowel movements. It also helps with blood sugar regulation for folks with diabetes. And so any plant food with fiber it's going to be great. So this can be fruits and vegetables. This can be fiber supplements as well. Whole grain foods. If you're someone that enjoys like a waffle or a pancake in the morning, having a whole grain option typically adds fiber, and that's going to do a great thing of slowing down that digestion, just like the protein, and also adding in benefits like regulating blood sugar and helping us have comfortable bowel movements.
Sure, sure. You know, it's interesting, Caitlin, with breakfast. I have found if I'm going to eat in the morning, it's got to be substantial. You know, like it's got to have a good amount of protein, something to kind of, you know, sustain me for the rest of the morning and get me to noon and all of those things. But to be honest, I do more intermittent fasting. Like I don't really eat breakfast that much. And, you know, I have like one stretch where I'm like, oh, I'm so hungry. I could eat almost anything right now. And that passes in about 10 minutes. And then I'm kind of good to go for the day. But I do know that there's been a lot of research that's shown the importance of breakfast, particularly for kids. And, you know, as they're off to school now and those sorts of things, kids getting breakfast, that's a pretty important deal. How about that?
Yeah, you were reading my mind. So, especially for grade schoolers and middle schoolers and high schoolers, even young college kids, this is a piece of, yeah, as you said, there's a lot of research around better kind of everything when it comes to breakfast for youth. So, it's better attention in school, it's better test scores, it's general better grades, it's also just better mood regulation. It's because if we have kids that are going to school hungry, they're feeling that they're having probably some headaches and they're having some stomach aches, and they're just probably kind of mean and kind of just they're ready to fight because they're hungry. So having some food in them before they get to school, or if your school offers a breakfast option, you can certainly skip the breakfast at home and send them to school and let them eat there. Some schools would do like a breakfast after the bell, so even after the first period of school starts, they can still eat breakfast in the classroom while the teacher's taking attendance and going through the morning. So having, yeah, something that your kids can have, even if it's something small. So having even, again, like a granola bar to send with them if they're not someone that wants to sit at the table and eat. And also something we've talked about before is kids take a lot of time to eat. So if you plan to have them eat at home, give yourself, as that adult in the house, give them plenty of time. You might want to give them like 30 minutes of actual like sitting at the table, giving them time to eat, because they may want to get up and move around and come back and sit down and have a little another bite and get up. And so it's giving them time. And if that's not something that's going to work for your morning, maybe look at that option for at school. They can try it at school or daycare where they can get that meal. Because yes, as you said, really important for their growing brains, for their growing bodies to get all these nutrients in.
So much of what you said there just hits home. I mean, it really does. It's amazing. Well, Caitlin, as it relates to breakfast, anything we missed there today you want to make sure we get out there this morning?
So one last thing would be on meal prep. Breakfast lends itself to a lot of meal prep, which just basically means you're making some breakfast foods in advance. So these are things that you can throw into your freezer and reheat in the morning. These are things that you can prep maybe the night before and reheat or eat cold. So overnight oatmeal having is really popular option still. You can have like a sandwich wrap, so having like an egg patty with cheese on an English muffin that you can wrap in your freezer and pop it into a toaster oven, an air fryer, your microwave to warm it up so you've got prepped food ready to go. Can be really kind of a lifesaver in the morning if you are feeling rushed.
Good stuff, Caitlin. Let's jump into talk about some fall foods and fall food preservation. Obviously we've got apples that are kind of starting to come off the tree. You've got pumpkins. You've got obviously those leftover tomatoes and jalapenos and the peppers and all the summer vegetables that we were growing here, and we were talking about waiting on those. Boy, they're just exploding out of the garden right now. Those are probably primed to be preserved for the winter months. How do we do that? What do we need to know here, Caitlin?
Yeah, I had to do a quick check. So it was yesterday is our official start of fall. So we're getting into, as you said, last bit of the summer garden, but then we're getting into those fall crops. So especially in Illinois, we're getting apples everywhere. We've got apple orchards opening, we've got cider, we've got donuts, we've got, all these things. And so for apples, especially a lot of grocery stores are going to be getting in good quality fall crops, those apples, or if you have a local orchard near you, a lot of them will sell what they call seconds, which are the less pristine. They've got maybe a little lump or bump on them. They just look less pristine and shiny and fancy than the other types of apples. And they will usually sell those at a discount. So if you are someone that wants to make applesauce, you want to make apple butter, you want to do a preserved product, Illinois Extension has a lot of resources on preserving. So our entire food preservation page, so if you go to extension.illinois.edu/food preservation, it takes you to all of the resources, including an entire page devoted to preserving apples. So this is, again, apple jelly, apple butter, making even like applesauce, or even just like apple pie filling. I could keep listing and I won't. But there's a lot of things that you can do at home, as well as if you're not into canning, look at freezing and dehydration as simple options. So if you are someone that really enjoys apples, or now we're getting right into pumpkins, and as you said, the last bit of summer crops like tomatoes and peppers, you can do a lot of freezing and drying for those. If you've got hot peppers, those dry up really well. So just kind of add the stems to a string, and you can make a ristra, I think is how you pronounce it.
Sure.
And just a big bundle of those. They can air dry, and you can turn those and grind them up in a food processor, and they can become red chili flakes for your pizza. You can have,
Nice.
if you have a pumpkin that you've got, it's ready just to kind of go from from your own personal garden or someone else's garden, or from a store. You can have that mashed, cook it down, mash it up, and you can put it into little ice cube trays, and you can freeze it. I know I like doing that we talked about breakfast, the overnight oatmeal, where I mix in a little bit of that mashed pureed pumpkin into my oatmeal, and I add some pumpkin pie spices, a little bit of sweetener, and some pecans, and you get a nice little breakfast out of that. I know a lot of people will like doing that in a smoothie, so they may add some of that frozen chunked mashed pumpkin. Those a lot of words together, for like a pumpkin pie spice inspired smoothie. Or if you're someone that likes a latte and you like that pumpkin spice latte, you can have that little bit of frozen pumpkin, because again, an ice cube tray, it's only a couple of tablespoons, so it's probably just enough to flavor your latte for the morning. We got all sorts of options with preserving. So again, extension.illinois.edu/food preservation will get you a lot of resources about that. So yeah, so many options this fall. We don't have to stop at summer preserving. Fall has a lot of options too.
For sure, for sure. Anything else to mention along those lines, Caitlin, here this morning before we go to a break?
So we're getting into hunting season very soon, and you can also can the meat. So if you are going deer hunting in a couple of weeks, that is an option. We have instructions through the National Center for Home Food Preservation, which is run out of the University of Georgia, and they have instructions on how to process wild game. So you can always have that as an option.
Never knew you could do such a thing. That's remarkable. I learned something today, Caitlin. You mentioned the website one more time. What is that website, Caitlin?
So come visit us at extension.illinois.edu/food preservation. And then also check us out on social media. We have our statewide team is able to share a lot of preserving resources on social media. So you could always catch that as kind of like timely reminders of, oh yeah, I wanted to learn more about that. So you can come follow along with us.
Easy enough. Caitlin Mellendorf, nutrition educator, U of I Extension in DeWitt, Macon, and Piatt counties. Our guest on the Zoom call here for this morning. More to come with Caitlin on the Morning Show.
WHOW.
MR Systems Wireless is your local internet provider for Clinton and surrounding area. They have the products you want and the local service you deserve. MR Systems Wireless Internet service for home or business includes unlimited data, unlimited streaming, and unlimited calling. Plans start at just $48 a month and get a free Roku 4 lease with our media packages. Get the speed you need with MR Systems Wireless. Call them at 935-2100. That's 935-2100 for MR Systems Wireless.
It's no secret that employers are having a difficult time hiring qualified personnel, whether full or part-time. The Miller Media Group wants to help you, the employer, to find the candidates you're looking for. That's why we've created IllinoisJobPost.com. That's IllinoisJobPost.com. This website is part of a broad radio and internet employment campaign available through the Miller Media Group. Contact your account manager or email sales@randyradio.com for more information. IllinoisJobPost.com is where we put the power of radio and the internet to attract prospective candidates.
Are you wanting to learn more about your health and wellness options in Central Illinois? Visit stealthwellness.com or click on my banner ad at DeWittDailyNews.com. Let me, Dr. Bill Byers, show you some simple, under-the-radar ways to improve and take control of your health.
This is Brett Zerfowski with Central Cremation Center. We have expanded our business and now offer private pet cremations to memorialize your loyal companion. Find out more about us by clicking our icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Hear Clinton Maroon live play-by-play this season on WHOW, the Big 1520 daytime, 92.3 FM in DeWitt County and 106.5 in Bloomington Normal all the time. Plus streamed at DeWittDailyNews.com on the WHOW mobile app and Amazon Alexa. Plus, hear a best of Clinton sports broadcast Saturday mornings at 10, all brought to you by Warner Hospital and Health Services, Bosch Chevrolet Buick, Love It Once More Thrift Store, and Mid-State Eye.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, a good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. On the Zoom call with us today, Caitlin Mellendorf, nutrition educator at the University of Illinois Extension in DeWitt, Macon, and Piatt counties. And Caitlin, I don't know about you, but anytime you go into a thrift store anymore, gosh, they have just about everything under the sun that you could imagine, including kitchen utensils. And I'm not going to lie, I've taken advantage of some of the things I've seen in the thrift store to add to my kitchen collection. How about yourself? And what comes to mind for this topic for you?
Yeah, and then I love on the ad break, there was a promotion for a local thrift store. So this was like, I couldn't have timed that better.
And that's where I go for all my stuff, actually.
Nice. Yeah, so this is such a important topic because especially during, we just talked about a little bit about preserving before the break. I get a lot of questions during the canning seasons, late summer of, well, I found all these, jars at the thrift store. I found a pressure canner at the thrift store. I found, all of these, canning supplies at the thrift store. Can I use them? Are they safe? And then that kind of leads also to my own kind of conversation, just like you said, of, well, maybe I need a ladle or I need a spoon, or I found a muffin tin that I can purchase from a thrift store. How do we know that these are good to use? Because the intention of a thrift store is to give products a second life somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
So your trash is someone else's treasure, right? Mm-hmm. And when it comes to those appliances, the spoons, the cookware, the baking dishes, all the things that thrift stores will get from someone's kitchen, I want to invite people to think about 3 different questions when they're shopping. One is, how bad is the defect?
Mm-hmm.
That is a piece, right? A thrift store is going to be secondhand items. They are probably going to have a few dents in them. So something that I invite people with that defect is looking at it and saying, is this defect touching my food? For example, if you have a nonstick skillet in your thrift store and you notice it's got a bunch of scratches, the nonstick cookware will start to flake off over time, especially if you've used metal utensils on the surface, like you try to flip an egg with a metal spatula, it's going to scratch up that nonstick surface. That coating is just going to continue to flake off over time because that scratch has already been started. Mm-hmm. And so I recommend skipping that because that defect is going to touch the food over time. You might get pieces of the coating, flaking off into your food, and you don't want to consume that. True. So look for where the defect is, minor. It's not going to impact the food. For example, if there is a muffin tin that's got a dent on maybe the corner, but it doesn't otherwise impact you putting, muffin batter in the tin or using a muffin paper to, coat the inside of the muffin tray itself. Mm-hmm. That's a great purchase to buy. It's got a minor defect. It's not impacting the food that you will be consuming. Also for, skipping things that cause you physical harm. So if you have glassware, you're going to buy another set of glass drinkware or coffee mugs. If you notice that there's a chip in the rim where you're going to put that cup to your lip, that cut in the material, that chip could potentially scratch your lips as you're consuming it. So that might be something to say, I'm not going to choose that. But if it's, maybe scratched on the outside, it's like a plastic cup that on the inside looks great, but it's maybe got a minor scratch on the outside. That's a great option to, again, secondhand, do that thrift. So first question was, how bad is that defect? Second question is, can I eat off of this? We've had a lot of changes in materials over the many decades we've had kitchen appliances. So what materials we use back in maybe the 40s and 50s for cooking material is not the same stuff that we make today. And one of the big things there would be probably lead. So some really old ceramic cookware and glassware is actually used to be made with lead. And so if you cannot find a brand, or you're not sure how old the product is, or just visually looking at it, you go, this looks pretty old, you might consider not purchasing that. Or if you can find a brand on the product and you can go maybe spend some time on the internet and search for, does this company still exist? Can I contact them? How did they make this? You may just want to skip that for safety reasons, especially with that lead as a concern. So how about the defect?
Yeah.
Can I eat off of this? And then does it work safely? So if it's an electrical appliance, if you're going to go buy the bread maker that someone dropped off at a thrift store, you're going to assume all of that risk if it doesn't work, if it doesn't plug in or turn on or doesn't work. So just be aware, you may have that risk assumed. You might be able to ask the staff at the store, hey, can I plug this in and just kind of touch the buttons and see if it turns on even? Sometimes stores will do that themselves. So thinking about those three questions when you're thrifting.
Caitlin, good stuff there this morning. I hate to do this to you. I've got to cut us off, though. We talked about food preservation. I'm sure you've got classes on that coming up here this fall, and I'm sure you've got many more classes as well. Where do folks go for all the information on food preservation, your classes, just information in general? Where do they find it all?
Yeah, so come visit us locally, DeWitt, Macon, and Piatt County. So you can visit go.illinois.edu/DMP for DeWitt, Macon, Piatt. And you can see all the classes I've got coming up, as well as other classes in our office.
Very good. Caitlin Mellendorf, Nutrition Educator, University of Illinois Extension in DeWitt, Macon, and Piatt Counties. Our guest on the Zoom call. Network News is now.